Hi, this is Ryan Wenzel, joined with Chris Matson, Ojes Rod, and Noel Hart, and we are presenting on our final project for CS 579 virtual reality. Our project is called VR Tank Simulator.
So our project goals were, I guess, kind of straightforward. We just kind of wanted to simulate the experience of being in a tank with semi-accurate, a semi-accurate representation. So I was the one who proposed this project, and I got the inspiration for it when I was watching something on TV, some shows on TV, and I just thought, it would be really cool to just kind of have that point of view in VR. It would actually kind of feel like maybe driving a real tank. And so I just thought, this would be a really good project to propose for this VR class. And so the kind of idea I had in mind was it was like a team-based game where you have maybe 3-4 people in one tank operating the different functions of the tank. So you have one person who's driving, another person who's operating the main gun, and then you have some sort of commander who's kind of barking orders and kind of keeping a watch out around the tank. And so that's kind of what we went through, or what we proposed for our project. And things changed pretty dramatically as we went on, but yeah, that was kind of what we proposed. So
So this is a showcase video just showing off how the whole thing works in Unity. There is a little bit of lag at times. My computer was having some issues recording and turning it on at the same time. There's a background movement. Background music, moving the tank up, down, left, and right. The turret, this is only the turret, not the actual tank itself. And when you pull the lever on the right, it fires the projectile. So, to move the whole tank, pull the lever on the left, forward and backwards. Lever on the right, moves it left and right. Return. Here I'm just driving around, showing off our map. This section will be more of a city almost, with a bunch of buildings. And then once we get out of this area, left here, the forest area as well. There. Coming up. Just going around. Just gonna go back here now and just show off the shooting again. Pull the lever forward, and you can see the projectile goes flying off. And if you press it quickly, it will not fire. There's 20 delay on firing, no matter what. Yeah, that's basically how our game's working so far.
All right, so we had a number of changes and pivots throughout this project. We were kind of envisioning a multiplayer game originally, as Chris mentioned, with multiple roles controlling different parts of the tank. Due to time constraints, we had to limit it to one player. For combat systems, we originally were thinking about tank to tank combat, but we decided to go down to just shooting at particular targets within the scene as the main object of the simulator, besides driving the tank. And then for our tank model, we were originally thinking about a contiguous model with interior and exterior all in one model. So the player is actually physically inside the tank that's driving around on the scene. But we ended up deciding to go with a separate room for the interior and remotely control the tank from that separate room. And then there's cameras that show the correct view as if the player is inside that tank. So that's more of a functional change, not super like aesthetic, not like a major aesthetic change, but definitely a change nonetheless.
Yeah, so we encountered a few challenges throughout this project. One of the big ones was Git for Unity. I had a bit of an issue with Git LFS and the storage capacity of a Git repo. Um, we also had VR compatibility issues. The Quest 2s didn't work with our Unity version. And we also, or they did work with our Unity version, and we also had issues with the Steam VR. Finally, not many group members had experience with 3D modeling, so it did take some time to get used to it, and we did end up relying more on pre-made assets.
So if I can just real quickly, if we can go back to the last slide real quick. So for the challenges, so I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the VR compatibility issues and then the Git stuff or something like that. So for the VR compatibility, I tried for like actually several weeks to try to get it to work. So from what I can tell is basically Unity software, just they dropped support for Steam VR, and they kind of like told Valve, this is kind of your issue now. You have to make the Steam VR compatible with Unity. I did try to download a plugin from the asset store as well as some stuff from GitHub, and none of it would work. As far as I could tell from reading forums on GitHub and other places, it just isn't compatible with 2019.4.19f, which is the version we were all using. It's just, I don't know, there wasn't really a reason given for it, or if there was a reason, it was kind of over my head. It was just, it doesn't work. I also know that one of the other challenges we ran into was some issues with importing assets, which kind of affected our ability to import other assets later on in our development. So for example, I believe at one point, I can't remember what it was that we imported, but it was like trees or something. And that just completely broke Unity for all of us. And it actually wiped out the interior room that we had for the tank out completely. And we had to redo it with the cameras and controls and everything. So I know that was those were some issues that we ran into. So that have definitely affected our ability later on. I think we can go on to the next slide now. So the next steps that we would take if we were going to continue developing this would be, kind of, I guess, straightforward things. So we would want damage effects. I did try to put some like particles in there, but particle stuff was kind of, that was kind of a separate thing. It was very intense to kind of learn how to do that. It required a lot of textures, and we just didn't have time because we were having so many other issues with Unity, quite frankly, that it just didn't, there wasn't enough time to implement them. Enemy AI would be something that we would like to do, even just something basic. Multiplayer would probably be one of the biggest ones. I think multiplayer would be really essential to making this experience worthwhile. Obviously, one person controlling those 3 points on the tanks would just be, that would be hard to do, especially if we're trying to do a semi-accurate representation of that. Tank combat, that kind of goes in with enemy AI and damage effects. And then another big one would be compatibility. I don't really see how we'd be able to do that with the current version of Unity. We'd probably have to upgrade or something, but we would obviously want to expand our headset compatibility.
Yeah, so, sorry. We used a lot of different assets and audio assets while making this project. A few of the things that we used were the driving sound, firing shots, the music, and then we used a lot of those free assets from the Unity Asset Store, trees, rocks, buildings, even the tank itself. Yeah, and the military background slides here. That's about all for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.